We've covered the many unique weapons and unique armors of Fallout 3, but what about the unique miscellaneous items? The items that don't quite fit into any other category of the Pip-Boy inventory screen. Let's talk about them. I will admit that many are quest items, and that comes with the unique property of being unable to be dropped from your inventory without completing the quest objective first. Still, there are more than a handful of interesting and cool misc items throughout the Capital Wasteland to collect. Let's get into it. Action Abe action figure. The very first unique miscellaneous item we have is one of my all-time favorite items in the entirety of the Fallout franchise, and that's the Action Abe action figure. It can be found in the Museum of History archive room behind a very hard locked door. It's a small action figure in the likeness of President Abraham Lincoln. It would be entirely insignificant, as who really wants to play with an Abe Lincoln figure, if not for the sword in his hand and the sheath on his back. It's not just Abe, it's Action Abe. The item plays a role in the Lincoln's Profit Margins Unmarked quest. That's the quest wherein several of these Abe Lincoln artifacts and memorabilia can be sold to either Abraham Washington at Rivet City, Hannibal Hamlin at the Temple of the Union, or Leroy Walker at the Lincoln Memorial. The most disgusting thing is that all three will buy Action Abe for 10 or 20 caps, pending a barter check, which I think is far below its value. Action Abe is going to be sticking with me, fellas. Sorry. Antique Lincoln Coin Collection. We're going to be seeing quite a few Lincoln-related items, if you hadn't guessed that already. The Antique Lincoln Coin Collection looks to be a small cardboard or styrofoam box of, according to the Lone Wanderer, pennies with Lincoln's face on them. It can be found in the library section of the Museum of History. Like Action Abe, the coin collection is part of the Lincoln's Profit Margins Unmarked quest, and surprisingly, this coin collection only confirms that the American dollar didn't hold up too well after the Great War. All three Lincoln memorabilia buyers will only pay 15 or 30 caps for the collection, again pending a barter check. Come on, surely a 300-year-old penny is worth more than a handful of caps, right? The Bill of Rights. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, actually, the Bill of Rights is sitting here in the National Archives. It can be found in the archival secure wing east of the building. Once acquired, it can be sold to Abraham Washington at Rivet City for 100 caps, or 125 with a barter check. Abraham will then proudly display it on a wall at the Capitol Preservation Society. Maybe raiders will stop attacking those poor wastelanders once they learn they have rights. Who knows though. Birch's Sap. Yum. Good ol' sap from Birch. Treefather Birch gives the Lone Wanderer his special sap to stop Harold from growing beyond Oasis and spreading his roots across the Capital Wasteland. Something about wanting to protect him, but we all know what really needs to be done. Sorry, Harold. I'm only putting you out of your misery. Charon's Employment Contract. The key to having a good employee is having a good contract. Azrukal did just that when drafting up his document stating his ownership of the towering ghoul bodyguard, Charon. It's a strange situation. Azrukal says Charon isn't a slave, but was brainwashed into being extremely loyal, and something he did in his past is what got him into a situation in the first place. It's all very quite mysterious and odd. Regardless, whoever is in possession of Charon's employment contract has control of Charon, and Azrukal is willing to part with the contract in exchange for caps, or if the player takes out Greta, the only other barkeep in the underworld. Once either option is completed, Charon sends a warm farewell to his previous boss. Cogwave Jammer. Nothing is too exciting about the Cogwave Jammer. It's given to the Lone Wanderer by Desmond Lockhart in Point Lookout as part of the Thought Control quest. It's used to block Professor Calvert's message being sent throughout Point Lookout. Danielle's Book. Found under a bench in the Foggy Bottom Station is a plain, destroyed book named Danielle's Book. It has no special uses or significant effects, it's just a plain book. What's interesting about it though is its backstory. Fallout 3 quest designer Bruce Neesmith revealed in an interview with Epic Realms that he put the book in as a reference to his daughter Danielle. She would often take the real-world Foggy Bottom Station to college during the development of Fallout 3. A really neat and personal Easter egg. Deathclaw Control Scrambler. Needing to get into Old Oni as part of the Broken Steel quest shock value, Scribe Valancourt gives the Lone Wanderer the Deathclaw Control Scrambler. When in range of the Domestication Unit transmitter, the Scrambler will turn all Enclave-controlled Deathclaws friendly. Funnily enough, because it's a quest item and can never be dropped, the world model for the Scrambler is a fresh apple. An apple a day keeps the mind-controlled Deathclaws away, I guess? Declaration of Independence. It's Abraham Washington who tasks the Lone Wanderer with stealing the Declaration of Independence from the National Archives. Unlike Nick Cage's ventures in the 2004 National Treasure movie, the Lone Wanderer has a far easier time. It can be found in the National Archives Strong Room, where they must appease a Button Gwinnett Protectron in order to access the document. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Donovan's Wrench. Another entirely ordinary but uniquely named miscellaneous item is Donovan's Wrench. This is a wrench that can be found carried by Riley Ranger's engineer, Donovan. He uses it and a fusion battery to jury-rig the elevator of the Statesman Hotel, allowing the mercenary squad to escape to safety during the Riley's Rangers side quest. If he were to ever perish, it's the Lone Wanderer who can take the wrench and fix it in his stead. R.I.P. Donnie, I'll take good care of your wrench for you. Drone Control Device. As the name might imply, the drone control device allows the Lone Wanderer to control an alien drone within the Mothership Zeta DLC. All you have to do is interact with the drone pod to get your very own drone companion. It's dropped from an alien within the robot assembly region of the ship. Poor Zetans forgot to install a kill switch. The Food Sanitizer. One of the best unique miscellaneous items in Fallout 3 is the Abraxadine Chemical Tasty Clean Food Sanitizer. It is awarded to the player by Moira Brown during the Wasteland Survival Guide quest if the player completes the optional task of finding medicine in the Super Duper Mart. What makes the Food Sanitizer so great is that it actually provides a buff to the player when it's in your inventory. It provides a 20% increase in hit points gained from food. It sanitizes your food. Very beneficial. Thanks, Abraxadine Chemical. I put it in my top 3 of useful misc items. Let's get that leaderboard going. Forged Declaration. The antithesis of the Declaration of Independence is the Forged Declaration. The Lone Wanderer can acquire the Forged Declaration by giving the Button Gwinnett Protectron an ink container. He will then work his magic and voila! Now you've got a forged replica of the Declaration of Independence. Button prefers you give Abraham Washington the forged copy instead of the original. Very much like National Treasure, eh? Fusion Pulse Charge. In order to detonate the bomb at the center of the eyesore that is Megaton, Mr. Burke provides the Lone Wanderer with a little Kickstarter catalyst in the form of the Fusion Pulse Charge. Fun fact, another Fusion Pulse Charge makes an appearance in Fallout 4. It would seem that it takes on a similar appearance to the icon from Fallout 3. The one in Fallout 4 is used to blow up the Institute. Tick, tick, boom. GECK. The Garden of Eden Creation Kit is a unique terraforming device created by the Future Tech division of Vault-Tec. Their aim was to make resettling the Earth in the aftermath of a global nuclear event much easier. And it did work. For example, Shady Sands was created with the help from a GECK. In Fallout 3, however, it is needed in order to start up Project Purity. The only GECK in the area belongs to Vault 87, a highly irradiated and super mutant infested vault. Just for lore purposes, I'll put the GECK at number 2 on the leaderboard. You never really get to hold on to it for long, but that short time we had with the GECK sure was memorable. Geomapper Module. Alright, everyone be so for real right now. Who predicted that we would see Donovan from Riley's Rangers again in this video? No one, right? Well, the Geomapper module supposedly took Donovan a year to develop. Riley gives it to the player after completing the Riley's Rangers side quest. It acts as a check for starting the Geomapping with Riley unmarked side quest. That's the one where Riley tasks the Lone Wanderer with discovering the various marked locations around the Capital Wasteland. She will pay 30 caps for each discovered location. The total payout after discovering all locations, including DLCs, is 4,890 caps. It seems a little low, but it is passive income, so who's really complaining? I'm putting the Geomapper module in the 2 spot, of the most useful unique items. The GECK is cool and all, but this makes me money. Ink container. The most crucial part of forging a national document is having some good quality ink, and that's why Button Gwinnett tasks the player to go find the finest restoration ink from the Arlington Library Media Archive. I don't recall Nick Cage drawing up a fake declaration. Pretty sure he just bought a replica from the gift shop. Why couldn't I just do that? Oh yeah, good chance they were probably destroyed in the Great War. John Wilkes Booth Wanted Poster. Another part of the Abraham Lincoln memorabilia is the John Wilkes Booth Wanted Poster. It can be found in the library section of the Museum of History. According to Google, $100,000 in 1865 is equivalent to around $2 million today. Quite the payday. A shame that the Lone Wanderer will only make a maximum of 150 caps if the poster is sold to Leroy Walker. Cheap bastard. Yunder's Plunkett's Finger. So the Lawbringer perk allows the player to collect the fingers of evil characters and turn them in for caps. Normally these just appear as fingers in the inventories of those you kill. However, there is a lone unique finger with a name, Yunder's Plunkett's Finger, belonging to, you guessed it, Yunder's Plunkett. Yunders can be found in the Arlington House near the Arlington Cemetery. Killing Yunders and letting Sonora Cruz know about it nets the Lone Wanderer a whopping 1,000 caps. Easy payday. Kenny Bear. Technically, Fallout 3's only unique teddy bear is Kenny Bear. It can be found in the Herzog mine. If returned to its owner, a child named Kenny who lives in another part of the mine, he will let the Lone Wanderer use his living quarters. Kenny is much too old for teddy bears, unlike me, the Lone Wanderer, who wants to keep it for my unique collection. Sorry, Kenny. The Krivbekny. I love it when Fallout leans into the occult, and this love partly came from the Point Lookout DLC, and more specifically, the Krivbekny and the Dark Heart of Blackhall quest. It can be found in the deepest level of the ritual site location in a bowl full of blood. How lovely. According to Obadiah Blackhall, the Krivbekny belonged to his ancestor, Constance Blackhall, who lived an unnaturally long life and led some sort of cult within the swamp. She was also the sister of Richard Dunwich, of creepy Dunwich Building and Dunwich Borers fame. How spooky. The Lone Wanderer can either return the Krivbekny back to the Blackhall family, or alternatively bring the book to the obelisk in the basement of the Dunwich Building to destroy it. Alternatively, don't complete the quest and just keep the book for yourself. What's the worst that could happen? Laurel's Liniment. Laurel's Liniment is the alternative remedy that the Lone Wanderer is provided with to solve the Oasis crisis. Mother Laurel believes Harold's roots deserve to grow across the entire wasteland, and her special liniment is what will speed up that process. I had to Google what a liniment was. It seems like it's just a less greasy ointment. Seems a bit intrusive to apply an ointment directly to someone's heart, doesn't it? Anywho. Lincoln Memorial Poster. Strangely enough, the Lincoln Memorial Poster is not of interest to Abraham Washington or Hannibal Hamlin. Rather, it's a friend of Hannibal Hamlin, Caleb Smith, who asks the Lone Wanderer to retrieve a poster of the Lincoln Memorial. He needs it so that he'll have a reference when he goes to restore the Lincoln Memorial back to its former glory. Alternatively, it can be sold to Leroy Walker for 100 or 200 caps, pending a barter check. The poster can be found in the offices of the Museum of History. The colors have been washed out a bit, but what do you expect after centuries have passed? Lincoln's Diary. Another bit of Lincoln memorabilia is his diary. Like much of the other Lincoln stuff, it can be found in the Museum of History, laying plainly on a display. It can be sold for caps as part of the unmarked Lincoln's Profit Margins quest, where Hannibal Hamlin and Abraham Washington will pay top dollar to read all about Lincoln's secrets. Top dollar being 100 or 200 caps, again, pending a barter check. You think there's any juicy gossip hidden in there? Lincoln's Voice. And finally, the last of the items related to the unmarked Lincoln's Profit Margins quest is Lincoln's Voice. It's a phone autograph that is supposedly able to replay the voice of Abraham Lincoln. It can be found in, you guessed it, the Museum of History. Abraham Washington will pay the most for it, 60 or 120 caps. The item itself is based on a rumor that the inventor of the phonautograph, Edward Leon Scott de Martinville, had made a recording of Lincoln's voice. However, it's unknown if such a recording actually exists. We may never know. Lucky 8-Ball. The Lucky 8-Ball is what I believe to be the very best miscellaneous item in the entirety of Fallout 3. That's right, I'm just going to put it in the number 1 spot on the leaderboard, knocking the other two down one peg. After healing him and repelling the super mutant attack at Big Town, Time Bomb of Big Town will give the Lone Wanderer the Lucky 8-Ball. It provides +1 luck to the player as long as it remains in the player's inventory. Who doesn't want more luck? Free luck is always welcome around here. Lucy's Sealed Envelope. When first visiting Moriarty's saloon in Megaton, they may meet a troubled Lucy West. Lucy hasn't heard from her parents in a quick minute, which is unlike them. She asks the Lone Wanderer if they can do their best courier impression and deliver a letter to them in Arfu. This starts the Blood Ties side quest. Perhaps the fun part is that you can complete the entirety of the Bloodlines quest without ever having delivered the letter, allowing you to hold on to Lucy's sealed envelope forever, if you so choose. With that being said, holding onto a letter isn't that fun, and that probably makes it the worst unique misc item in the game. Lump of Brain. Tobar the Ferryman isn't the nicest of fellows. In fact, it is him who removes part of your brain during the Walking with Spirits Point Lookout quest. It can be recovered from the engine room of the Duchess Gambit. I love my little lumpy brain. I love it so much that I'll gladly replace it at number 3 on the best misc items leaderboard. The Magna Carta. Chuck McGill's favorite item is up next, the Magna Carta. It can be found in the Archive Secure Wing east of the National Archives. Its only purpose is to be sold to Abraham Washington, who will pay 75 or 100 caps for it. In real life, the Magna Carta, aka the Magna Carta Libertatum, aka the Great Charter of Freedoms, is a series of documents meant to limit the power of the King of England. King John signed the Magna Carta in the year 1215. Now, as for why the Magna Carta can be found in the National Archives in Fallout 3, it was in 2007, a year before the release of Fallout 3, that American billionaire David Rubenstein purchased the last privately owned copy of the 1297 version of the document and loaned it to the US National Archives. A neat little bit of history for you there. Marie. Don't come at me, the game classifies Baby Marie as a miscellaneous item, and if you hadn't noticed already, she also appears as a garden gnome if dropped using console commands. Marie is the daughter of Asher and Sandra in the pit. Marie was born with a natural immunity to the troglodyte degeneration contagion, the cause of the trogs. As such, she's being studied by your mother to see if a cure could ever be developed. Doubly, as such, she's sought after by de facto slave leader Werner, as he tasked the player with kidnapping the baby Marie. The third option is to download a mod and just eat the baby yourself. What an absolutely diabolical thing to do. Modified FEV. To accomplish his task of purifying the wasteland, Enclave President John Henry Eden gives the player a sealed vial of modified forced evolutionary virus. The modification is that it's a similar strain of FEV to that of the Curling 13 virus seen in Fallout 2 when Dick Richardson's Enclave attempted their very own wasteland purification. Funnily enough, because the item cannot be typically dropped by the player, as it is a quest item, it takes on the appearance of an empty Nuka-Cola bottle. Yep, you most definitely should not drink that. Nuka-Cola Clear Formula. While it takes on the appearance of a holotape, the Nuka-Cola Clear Formula is actually a miscellaneous item. It can be found in the R&D section of the Nuka-Cola plant. While we never get to learn what actually goes into making a Nuka-Cola Clear, according to a terminal entry, it's supposed to have less kick than your classic Nuka-Cola. The existence of Nuka-Cola Clear is likely a reference to White Coke, a clear version of Coke specifically made for a high-ranking member of the Soviet Union, Georgy Zhukov. Since, though, other variations of clear soft drinks have also been officially released, like Crystal Pepsi in 1992 and Coca-Cola Clear in 2018. I'm sure it tastes good, it just seems a bit odd is all. Observer. I suppose this is technically a unique misc item, though it is quite lame. The Observer is some sort of transmitter provided to the Lone Wanderer by Moira Brown during the Wasteland Survival Guide side quest. She asks that you place it in a nest of mirelurk eggs in the Anchorage Memorial so that she can monitor their behavior. Just another one of those quest items that cannot be removed until the quest is completed. Lame. Bottom 3 items, most definitely. Pilk's Journal. Pilk's Journal is a strange item. It's a journal made by Pilk that documents all the observations he made while running his Safari games. It can be found in the Coastal Grotto on a small table. While the item cannot normally be picked up without the use of console commands, interacting with the journal will give the player the Ghoul Ecology perk, allowing them to deal +5 bonus damage to ghouls. The journal shares the same appearance with another misc item that we'll get to next. Any misc item with a bonus is always welcome. Sheet Music Book. It's during the Agatha's Song quest that Agatha requests the Lone Wanderer to bring her some sheet music books so that she can write some music in them. It makes sense. Doing so can possibly reward the player with the unique Blackhawk Scoped Magnum. While several copies of the sheet music book can be found across the wasteland, only one is needed to get the reward. The rest can be collected or simply sold for caps. Simple as. Swal Stradivarius. But how can Agatha write music without an instrument? And that's where the Swal Stradivarius comes in. In fact, the entire purpose of the Agatha Song side quest is for the Lone Wanderer to go to Vault 92 and retrieve this prized violin. The violin once belonged to an ancestor of Agatha, a talented violinist who was accepted into Vault 92 under the guise of protecting musical talent. While the true experiment left the vault ruined, the Swal Stradivarius simply laid within the depths of the vault, waiting to be found. The violin can be returned to Agatha, resulting in unlocking Agatha's station on the radio. It can also be sold to either Abraham Washington in Rivet City or Azrukal in the Underworld. Or just keep it to yourself. It's quite the relic. Sub-self-destruct codes. This is an interesting one. The submarine self-destruct codes are the set of codes used to detonate the SSN-37-1A submarine at the bottom of the waters on the coast of Point Lookout. They can be found implanted in a false tooth of the Chinese spy Wan Yang, now just skeletal remains in the morgue of the Turtle Dove detention camp. It's quite cool actually. Fallout 3 really lets you live out your dreams of being a tooth fairy. The Tesla Coil. The Broken Steel quest shock value not only gets you the Deathclaw control scrambler, but also a crucial component to the Tesla cannon. Found protected in a reactor in the Olney Power Works is the Tesla Coil. It's not all too exciting to be honest, it's just needed so that the Brotherhood of Steel can construct the Tesla cannon for you. Thanks boys, I will definitely not turn this technology back on you. Virgo 2 Dish. Perhaps the strangest miscellaneous item in Fallout 3 is the Virgo 2 dish. 3Dog tasks the player with recovering a satellite dish from the Virgo 2 lunar lander in the Museum of Technology and installing it atop the Washington Monument to better improve the signal of Galaxy News Radio. There's just something so funny about imagining the Lone Wanderer hauling this reasonably sized dish around. You think they fastened it to their back or something so that they could still use their weapons? It's just a bit comical to imagine, eh? Use Bear Charm. And the final unique miscellaneous item that I've got on this list is Use Bear Charm. If the player doesn't burn Harold and passes a speech check while completing the Oasis side quest, Sapling U will give the player a charm that her parents got her for her 5th birthday. How kind. Once received, it grants a permanent +10 bonus to your speech skill. I think that warrants a place on the leaderboard. I'll put it at the 2 spot and shift the food sanitizer down to the 3 spot. Bye bye brain. The unfortunate bit is that while the Pip-Boy image is that of a bear necklace, when dropped, the bear charm looks like a plain teddy bear. Still, you can't really complain about free stats. And that wraps up our small exploration of the many unique, interesting, and rare miscellaneous items in Fallout 3. While they may not be exciting as the unique weapons and unique armors, some of them are just as noteworthy. And as we've seen with the top 3 leaderboard we've been tracking, some junk is worth holding on to. That's all from me today, folks. If you liked the video, be sure to share and subscribe. Any other quest or misc items I may have missed, let me know. Join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
Azrukal, I am told that I am no longer in your service. Yes,